On the afternoon of the 13th, we thought we could hear a boat engine at intervals throughout the afternoon, but we couldn't be sure. Shortly after dark, I went below to make some porridge, and suddenly a boat began to close in on us very quickly. The boat came in closer. I was about to go up on deck when the boat opened fire and sent some shots over our mast. The gunboat came in closer and lit us with its spotlight. Stuart was shot, and Kerry helped him out to sea in a lifebuoy. He told me later that Stuart had died and been buried at sea.
You know, I have to admit, sitting on this plane, about to fly to Cambodia, there's big parts of me thinking we would never be going to actually going to Cambodia. I thought there would be something happen, I don't know, but here we are. We're on the plane, flying to Cambodia. Not sailing, but flying, that's okay. Right away.
And we've got the leg room.
I ordered it special, I ordered it just for you, Rachel. So no hair, like your leg room. We are on our way. I tell you what, that arrival should I say, at Cambodia Airport was much less emotional than the last time. We'll talk about that in a moment, what happened. But for Declan, it was quite emotional because he had $400 Australian dollars stolen from his wallet. He checked his wallet into the check-in baggage. Oh, you know, you keep your precious things on you, don't you, when you fly. But Declan, being trusting, somebody went through his bags, saw his wallet there, took out $400. And
not a good start. The following day, Finn flew in from New Zealand with strict instructions to keep up his rowing training. If you're new here, our eldest son Finn left the boat in early 2020 to pursue his Olympic dream in rowing. He's on course for Paris next year. While you're here, why not hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications? It costs you nothing and you can keep up to date with each episode and follow Finn's road to the Olympics. How come we got you in the racing season?
The big thing, the big issue was, training. But we've managed to find rowers, been able to keep training, which is good.
How's the season going?
Pretty good. Like we've had some good races. Got to get a bit faster, but I am beating people that kind of it's good to beat. So it's going good.
Together we hit the streets. It felt surreal to be back in Phnom Penh once more. Rob, one-year-old Ivan and I had visited here in 2009 when Rob had been a civil party at the War Crimes Tribunal against Khmer Rouge, who ran the Khmer Rouge Primary Detention Centre, Tuol Sleng prison, that oversaw the death of more than 17,000 Cambodians. In the mid-1970s, Rob's eldest brother Kerry had been enjoying sailing through Southeast Asia with his friend Stuart Glass and charter passenger John Dewhirst. Their boat, Foxy Lady, had been blown off course and strayed into Cambodian waters. They were attacked by a Khmer Rouge Naval gunboat. Stuart Glass was shot and killed at the time. Kerry and John Dewhirst were taken to Tuol Sleng prison, where they were tortured, then executed. The Khmer Rouge were a brutal totalitarian regime that unsuccessfully attempted to force Cambodia into becoming an agrarian society between April 1975 and January 1979. Their policies led to the deaths of over 2 million of the population by murder, famine and disease. A dark time in Khmer history. Together as a family, we would be visiting Tuol Sleng prison where Kerry was incarcerated. But first, we wanted to revisit a history quite in contrast with the Khmer Rouge years. We took a bus trip north to Siem Reap to study the glory days of the Khmer Empire.
Declan, your impressions?
Would it be disrespectful to do a sick backflip here?
I don't think so. I think it would be fine. I think the gods would smile.
She's tired anyway.
Okay.
Quite an iconic temple behind me. We've just watched the sunrise over Angkor Wat this morning. And what I didn't realise when we first came here is that Angkor Wat isn't the only temple. This area of temples spans 70 square kilometres.
17.
70 square kilometres, and there are hundreds of temples. Angkor Wat is the best known, I suppose, but we will be visiting a few. But the most incredible thing is that the first temple was built in the 880s, and at a time when in England, London could only support 20,000 to 30,000 people. Here they had almost 1 million people living within the temple walls.
There's a micro of the macro. Here's the micro of the intricacy of the rocks. This is rock that's been carved by hand, taken so long, and it's everywhere. The macro is it's everywhere. I'm impressed.
Did you recognise this, Ivan?
So much.
Well, you might not recognise it this size. We used to have one about that big, and it's a fertility symbol. It would have a linga, which is the male piece that sits in there. This is the yoni. They'd pour the water over the linga, and it would drain through the yoni and into the gutters and spread amongst the pilgrims. And it was a fertility thing that would create for creation. And we had one, not because I wanted it, but when I was here with Rob for the trials, I had Ivan with me. He was 1.5, and in the airport on our way home, he picked up the linga and dropped it on the floor, and it broke a little bit off, and they made me buy it. Not that I didn't want any more children, so I didn't want a fertility thing, but
it's
sat on the bookshelf,
top
of the bookshelf, forgotten for years and years.
Stop grabbing my kid. You want to know to take it, I'll take it. No,
and that's the story of the linga.
Yes, you can. You can trust.
Well, why is there a Nike swoosh?
Huh?
Not there.
Just do it.
So this is the moat around Angkor Wat, and it took 2 years to build this, to dig this, and 200,000 people spent their entire days for 2 years doing that. And at the deepest point, it goes down to almost 10 meters deep. Can you believe it? This thing is like, it's about 200 meters across, all the way around. I'm not sure the circumference of the moat, but it's massive. Absolutely extraordinary. You imagine doing that today with even our mechanical prowess, how long it would take. But by human effort alone, wow.
So, guys, Ivan, what are your thoughts about Angkor Wat?
I think it's incredible. Really.
I haven't seen any anchors yet.
What?
Anchors.
What?
That's pretty amazing. Like, shoot. Can you imagine trying to build this today?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly right.
Imagine how long it must have taken.
Just in case.
And this is only like one little bit of it. There's like 160 hectares or something.
Well, what they say. One wasn't built in a day.
Not for eating. Oh, it's not for eating. Hello. Not for eating. There's nothing in there for you.
All of these, I don't know what you'd call them, etchings, carvings.
They're called reliefs, actually.
Oh, okay. They almost look too good to be real. Like, I can't imagine how hard it would have been to do all of this by hand.
Yeah.
And so detailed as well.
Yeah.
All of it.
So here's a little conundrum. How did an animal extinct for 1 million years end up carved into the relief of a temple that was built in 1186? Stegosaurus.
Wow, this is extraordinary. That is a dinosaur, that is no doubt.
It was so unusual. The rest are all dancing and very traditional Khmer.
Well, what is this?
It's another animal of some sort. It's 3 animals and then it goes back to...
Yeah, it's a monkey, I guess. It's a buffalo of some description. It's a stegosaurus. What is this? This is almost like a seahorse or something. That's amazing.
To dig out. I don't know when this like right here. It's a little bit smaller. You can see there in the corner.
We didn't have one. We don't have one.
We wanted to get motorbikes when we got here, but apparently in Cambodia you can't, if you're a tourist you can't hire motorbikes. So we went for e-bikes. We thought, yeah, we can cycle them and pedal them, but this is what we got. Not quite as intimidating as we'd hoped to be, especially in the pink helmets. All templed out, we decided to take a tour to Kompong Klang floating village, located 55 kilometres from Siem Reap on the banks of the Tonle Sap, the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia and the most productive freshwater fishery in the world. The houses here are built on stilts to accommodate the dramatic change in water levels during dry and wet seasons. During the wet season, from June to October, the Mekong River begins to swell. The rising water level forces the Tonle Sap River to flow backwards into the lake, bringing millions of fish from the Mekong. The Tonle Sap River is the only river in the world that reverses flow twice a year. In that moment, the stilted houses come into their own. As the lake increases by over 4 times its original size, the annual floods also deposit rich sediment, which has made central Cambodia very fertile. The Tonle Sap River and lake provide irrigation to half of Cambodia, while the lake is home to over 100,000 people who live in 170 floating villages. Unfortunately, new dams built on the upper Mekong are putting this way of life under threat of an ecological disaster. Today we're in Kompong Klang village It's a floating village on the Tuol Sleng Lake. This village is the home of over 10,000 people, although it's lots of little pockets apparently, 10 different villages within the one village.
As I was saying before,
Tuol
there's a lot of these chickens. Right there, there's one. They're quite small.
They are quite small.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Ben. The Tuol Sleng is their home. It's where they work, fishing, and it gives them their water. And they live in these stilt houses because in the rainy season the water comes right up to the houses. In fact, they occasionally flood. But now we're in the dry season, and so we're seeing more stilt than water. What did you think of that, Dex?
Yeah, it was way better than I thought it was going to be. My expectations weren't high. It was just interesting to see like how they lived. It was so different. It was really, really different. Yeah, it was intriguing, the amount of people. There's so many people and all the kids that live there and everything. And also what the tour guide, he said how they helped the village, they like fund it for schooling.
Yeah, the reason we picked this tour with this tour guys, because there are a few floating villages, but this one gives back to the community. They invest money in projects. They're helping with schools, they're helping with filtration of the water, because the water is a pretty mucky brown colour, so it needs to be filtered so they can drink it. That's their lifeblood. They fish it, they drink it, it's their waterway, it's their motorway. And they take the elderly of the village who have never left the village, and they bring them to Siem Reap to see the temples, because they've never stepped outside their village before. So that's a really nice thing. So if you are coming to Siem Reap and you want to see some of the floating villages, we recommend the Kampong Klang village tour. It's really worth it. Join us next week when we confront the horrors of Tuol Sleng prison and the killing fields. I'm quite moved. Meet a survivor of that time.
So he was just saying to me he was a civil party for case 2. I was in case 1, but I testified.
And learn how one company is making a difference in the lives of the children of Phnom Penh. We've been given no indication of where this village is. We don't know the name of it to protect the children, so that we can't repeat the name, so that they can't be found.